All right, well, good afternoon to the World History Independent Learning students. I wanted to just speak with you for just a moment to kind of explain some of the assignments that you have to do today. Of course, first of all of the information that you need is available on the module, as you've already found to have found this film. Also, you'll notice that there is a quiz, a link to a quiz that you need to take that covered the reading that you had to do. You'll also notice that there's a classwork assignment and a list of some homework stuff. One of the documents says something about homework, due objective 2 assignment. I've removed that. We're not gonna do that now. We may do that tomorrow. But I wanted to talk with you for just a moment about Chapter 9, Section 1, and the classwork assignment that you have to do. By the way, one thing that we discovered in class, well, I'll tell you about that in a moment, but Chapter 9, Section 1 talks about some of the reform efforts in the church. And what you're going to do in that assignment is you're going to give a title to the reform effort. I'll go ahead and tell you what some of them are. The Cluniac Reform, the Cistercian Reform, the College of Cardinals is a reform effort. Then Gregory the Seventh is a reform effort. And then you've got 2 other mendicant orders, the Franciscans and the Dominicans, and they're the last of those 2 reform efforts. You want to basically just make a chart, tell the reform effort, put some notes down there about what the reform effort involved, and then put a few notes down about the result of that specific reform, the thing that it helped accomplish in the church. These reform efforts were needed for a variety of reasons. The simony, the practice of selling church offices, that was a corruption in the church that had developed. The fact that nobles and kings, political figures, were picking the pope. Of course, they're going to pick the pope that's going to be favorable to them politically, and they ended up with a lot of popes that weren't really spiritual leaders, but they were political leaders. So there was a real problem with that. But corruption, even among the morals of a lot of the church officials, they in some cases they were openly immoral, and reform was needed. So reform efforts, each of them kind of took on a little bit of a different approach to the reform that they were trying to accomplish. And what I want you to do with Objective 1 is just to go through, list, explain the nature, and explain the results of these in note form. One of the things that you'll find to be more beneficial is if you turn your paper landscape. You'll have more space in each of the columns. The column over there for the reform attempt, that's just like the title of the reform, like Cluniac or Cistercian. That column doesn't need to be very wide, but the columns where you're talking about the nature of the reform, what they were trying to reform, and then what you believe the result to have been, or what your text states the result, those could be a little wider. But just go ahead and work on that assignment. It should show you sort of the heart of Chapter 9, Section 1. And then for homework, be sure that you read Chapter 9, Section 2. We are going to take a test on the define and identify terms on Friday, but then we're also going to take a quiz on these objectives, on some of the stuff that we're doing with the objectives. So be sure that you understand both of those. All right. If you have any troubles, please contact me immediately. But go ahead and work through the module. Thank you.